Honor.
All right.
You
Yes.
allowed me to continue, so I don't have to ask the jurors to leave. But I made a motion,
Oh, yes. Yes.
and Mr.
Thank
Matthews
you for
reminded
reminding me of that.
And what happened was, and please check the record, but what I remember happening was Ms. Love makes a speaking objection, comments, puts her own testimony before the jury, and states that the testimony, that there's no evidence, and it's already been proven, and I know that there's a strained relationship between Jeffrey Williams and Rich Homie Quan. That is wrong. Rich Homie Quan has given interviews shortly after January 10, 2015, all the way up to 2024, consistently how close he and Jeffrey Williams are. The prosecution said that Rich Homie Quan, his real name is Mr. Lamar, that he was coming to court and he would be testifying. And the prosecution did not call him. He was on a short list. He was under subpoena. They did not call him. I have a good faith belief. They didn't call him because, what? I'm sorry?
Yeah, you need to.
I have a good faith belief that the state did not call him because he gave exculpatory information about his relationship with Jeffrey Williams. So for the prosecutor to then say in front of the jury, and please check the record to make sure that what I'm saying is what was said by Ms. Love, but I immediately would have made this motion if you did not allow me to preserve it. And a lawyer can't tell the testimony. This is what happened. Brian Steele knows this. That is untruthful. In fact, I know the opposite.
Uh-huh. All right. So my recollection is that Miss Love said that the evidence shows that after a certain date, one of the people in this picture no longer hung around Mr. Williams.
Okay, good.
That's a closer.
That is not true.
Account.
What the state was trying, their crazy theory, in my opinion, is that in the fall of 2014, Mr. Williams somehow cared about Rich Homie Quan signing with a third party. His name is Mr. Brian Williams, which is Birdman.
Right.
And somehow that because Donovan Thomas said, no, Mr. Rich Homie Quan, don't sign with Birdman, that Jeffrey Williams has now a motivation to kill Donovan Thomas. None of that comes out. And it's untruthful. As you saw, they are playing together, they being Jeffrey Williams and Rich Homie Quan, on New Year's of 2014.
You know what? There are plenty of band members who play together and hate each other. So them playing together doesn't establish anything. But and that's all again. So Miss Love, you maintain that it is in evidence. So can you
That there was
what part of the evidence and who said it?
Yes, and I would ask if the court has in front of it my exact words, or if there's a way to grab. Okay.
Your exact words in front of me, but I'm sure we can get them by Monday.
Okay.
But it was.
So what I was referring to was the testimony that has been given that after a certain date, at least one witness, there may have been two, testified that the relationship between one person in that photograph and defendant Williams changed. Mm-hmm. I can definitely say that I can definitely say that apart from that testimony that the jury has already heard, personally, I definitely have a great faith basis for saying it, but that is not what I said. I said what I was referring to the second part of what was asserted by counsel.
Do you know which witness or witnesses it would have been? Because I think Miss Weaver's probably transcribed a good bit of this, and she's pretty fast. I'm happy to ask her to.
I believe it would have been Mr. Thomas Sr., who was asked about the relationship between one of the people in the photograph or having seen them
All right.
after a certain time, or that it was strained. That's why I'm asking. And then I'm not certain whether Detective Dennis talked about it. That I'd have to look back.
Okay. Why don't you look back? I mean, did Mr. Thomas Sr. testify for any real length of time? I mean,
He was
would that
there for
be
a
easy?
day.
Okay, that'd be easy enough for Miss Weaver to put together. I'd imagine Mr.
And-
Dennis testified for longer.
Yes,
All
but
right. Maybe you could look at your notes on that and maybe pinpoint that more directly, and then I could ask Miss Weaver, with
I
some
will.
parameters, maybe.
and I'll also just check with the team because it's not been a topic that has been discussed. So we've discussed those things anyway, and I can clarify because it was not. It was, I think that was Miss Hilton's witness, so she'd probably have a better memory than me. But the reason that I asked exactly what I said is because I think I chose my words carefully before I said them.
Okay.
And I want to make certain of exactly what I said, and I want to point back to exactly what I was referring to.
Okay. And Miss Winfrey over the weekend will be kind enough to find us that little portion of Miss Love's statement that resulted in Mr. Steele having a motion and saying, can I just bring it up later, and me saying yes. And then we'll take all that up first thing on Monday.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
the point is, a lawyer, I do remember the father attempting to say things like that, but he couldn't explain later photographs, whatever. That goes to weight.
What?
But the issue is a lawyer to tell a jury what the evidence is testifying. It's inappropriate.
Your Honor, what I think was inappropriate was attempting to mislead the jury by asserting that a photograph that Mr. Steele was aware was taken, or at least that particular concert or whatever, that was not a December 2015 concert as he stated to Mr. Sledge, and Mr. Sledge said yes. Even after Mr. Steele put up the next flyer or whatever it was and led Mr. Sledge by saying, this happened December 2014,
That
New
was
Year's
actually
Eve 2015.
that was 2015.
That was it was going into 2015. The second one
So that was 2014.
yes.
Okay.
The first one was 2014.
All of those.
And so when Mr. Steele said, the reason that I said that I objected the way I did is that Mr. Steele said that posting that was defense exhibit
So when people say New Year's Eve 2015, they actually mean December 31st, 2014?
yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
That's what they meant.
So, Your Honor.
But
and
Your
what
Honor, may I
happened-
finish
excuse me
before
just one
he's
second.
allowed? May I finish
This-
before Mr. Steele is
Okay, hang
allowed?
on. Yeah, let's see what Miss Love was saying. Go ahead.
So, at the time that Mr. Steele put up the flyer and suggested before this jury that flyer was for an event in December 2015,
Yeah.
that I objected because, and what I didn't say, what I wanted to say, which was he knows full well that wasn't December 2015, but I said that there has been evidence of something different.
Okay. Well, that probably wasn't the best way to handle it.
And if I'm not saying I did, but I may have misspoke. If I misspoke on a date, I wasn't doing it deliberately. And the objection is that shouldn't be 2015. Are you sure, Mr. Steele? Or Your Honor, I don't think that's 2015. Not, and the
I don't think that
evidence
that's a-
shows,
Don't
excuse me,
interrupt. Don't interrupt.
and the evidence shows that there was no relationship. They weren't speaking. That's what I'm complaining about.
Yeah. She said the evidence shows. Okay. I mean, that may
I
not
wanna
have
know
been
what
the
I said.
absolute best way to handle it. And I do wish that both of y'all, I mean, y'all clearly get under each other's skin and try to divorce from the case the fact that each of you is the attorney handling certain evidence or certain witness, because honestly, both of you probably would do your tasks for your clients better if you could focus a little less on the fact that y'all get on each other's nerves, okay? I mean, you do not have to, it does not have to be like a gladiator fight every time anybody says anything when it's the two of you. It doesn't come off well for anybody, honestly. So that's just my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Your
I'd
Honor.
also like to say that
I
every
appreciate it, Your
evidentiary objection does not need to be made, even if it's a valid one. So think about that too.
Yes,
All
Your
right.
Honor.
Anything else?
Your Honor, just that I'll just await Miss Winfrey's
Okay.
snippet.
Okay. All right. I hate to do this, y'all. I can't stand getting up really early in the morning either, but I think we have enough things to do before the jury joins us that we're going to need to do 8:30 on Monday, and maybe I should just tell the jury from now on 9:30 on Monday, but I haven't. I told them 9, so we're going to see each other at 8:30. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right. Everybody have a good weekend.